Hi, my name is Jason Bunn-Parsons, and I'm the director of the Future Autism Ambassadors Corps, certified peer support specialist, and professionally I work as a paraprofessional at Emerson Elementary, and the teacher that I work under is Adam here. Adam?
Hey, I'm Adam Lovelady. I'm a special education teacher at Emerson Elementary. I've been working there in special education for about 13 years.
Okay, and so for more details on our background, this is the second part of a four-part series, and so I will provide a link to the first video in the description section of this video. So anyways, so the first video, I introduced the Autism Ambassadors Corps, and what the mission is. The Autism Ambassadors Corps is a coalition of autistics and neurotypicals who seek to bring the entire autism community together in constructive dialogue in order that all sides can obtain mutual understanding and admiration for each other. And that this was birthed out of my observation that part of the biggest problem in the autism community is autistics meet here, neurotypicals meet here, professionals meet here, and there's all this misunderstanding, and frustration with the other groups because they're not talking directly with each other. And so, so that's the purpose of the Autism Ambassadors Corps, is to create venues, for this type of dialogue. And so, one of the things that's the flagship program that's once we get the Autism Ambassadors Course started is going to be the AAC Clubhouse and Service Center, which is going to have a number of different services and programs. So it's modeled after the AA Clubhouse, and where they have meetings, and when they're not having meetings, it's used as a social gathering. And so this is just a rough draft of what these places would contain. Of course, once we secure the facility, we would be drawing up specific blueprints for that specific facility, as far as the restrooms are going to go wherever the piping for the restrooms are going to go, and so on and so forth. And so anyways, it's a large recreational area, main meeting area, and smaller meeting and service rooms. So let's say, like, we have the Tuesday night meeting, it's a autism mutual support meeting, and so we would have our big group area in the main meeting area, and then when we break up into small groups, the small group rooms would be right there, and then during regular business hours, we could also use these small rooms and service rooms for a variety of different possible services, which I'm going to elaborate on later. But first, I want to talk about the other reason for doing this video is that Adam and I are working on bringing a modification of the mutual support meeting to Emerson Elementary, and it's going to be kicking off the first Wednesday of February 2022. So that's a week and a half away, two and a half weeks, something like that. Anyways, so so first, what I want to do is I want to talk about the original formats that I use, and then Adam can, who's been to 3 of the meetings so far. The last 3 weeks, he's attended the meetings, and so that then he'll talk about his vision for what he would like to see at Emerson, which is going to be a significant modification of my particular meeting format. Okay, and I'm quite interested myself in how he's going to meet the needs that he sees, that he's seen for all these years as a public educator, and as well as my own thing that I would like to be doing during these meetings. So so going back to, okay, so this here is the itinerary for the oh shoot, the date was supposed to be switched. Yeah, I actually modified this to today's date. And so anyways, for some reason anyways, whatever. We opening greetings, and then we do the reciting of the Pledge of Confidentiality and the Pledge of Mutual Understanding. That is going to be the fourth part of the video series, is talking about the pre-meeting readings, okay, and why they're so important. Okay, and then celebrations. Okay, this is the modification I made at Adam's suggestion, because what I had originally is talent expo, where somebody if they sing or want to do a reading or something like that, they can do that there. And then here was achievement reports. Okay, after the reading of the pledges. And so what Adam suggested for the school meeting, for what we're going to do at the school, is to combine them into just one thing, celebrations. And I really like that idea. So anyways, and then a 10 to 15 minute lesson, which I don't do very often, because I'm tired a lot of times, and the original idea wasn't for me to always be doing the lesson, but other people doing these lessons, just little tidbits of knowledge that they may have made, that they may have come across, but that hasn't really worked out quite the way I had hoped. So right now we're still really small. My Tuesday night meeting is really small, and so I don't really have a large pool of people to draw off of as far as other people doing quick little lessons, then making my financial needs known. So anyways, and then 5-10 minute breaks, allowing members to assemble in their individual small groups, and then then we break up into those called meeting order. And so here comes the 5-minute check-in, and this is the check-in format that theoretically, if we actually stayed rigid to the to the format, but quite truthfully, we have a tendency to not stick to just 5 minutes. But anyway, so you introduce yourself, and I may, in whatever you identify as. For me, identify as an autistic self-advocate, certified peer support specialist, which isn't on the list, and paraprofessional, which again isn't on the list. And so basically, these are just simply suggestions of what's different things that people might identify as in an autism meeting. Then my gifts, talents, and special interests. This is what I refer to as the Warner edition, because he's one of the members of our group, and instead of giving his diagnosis, he would talk about how he's an artist. And I'm like, you know what? That's a really good point that he keeps making, is that we get so wrapped up on our deficits that that our strengths, talents that get completely overlooked. And so I thought it was a great idea to add this in, in order to get people, to get us to think about the fact that yes, we do have these gifts and talents, okay, and they need to be recognized first and foremost, so that way we can start building upon them, and then hopefully start building up our self-esteem. And so then unique aspects of myself I'd like others to better understand. And this is about misunderstandings that people have about us, or as individuals. Okay, this is not a community advocacy question. This is a personal advocacy question. What specific aspect of yourself that you wish people would understand? And then brief reports, brief week reports, unless you feel uncomfortable sharing at this time, which in which case you can say pass. And then self-improvement advocacy project. Okay, that's going to be the third video in this series. So that's going to be the next video that we'll be doing. And then 6, proposal for general topic of discussion, time permitting. Okay, and so anyway, so this is the format that I drew up for my Tuesday night format, and that Adam has participated in. And so Adam, would you like to go ahead and now talk about your variation of this format, and making it most relevant to the needs of the students and teachers and parents at Emerson Elementary?
Yeah, sure. So just thinking about this check-in format, I actually really like it. It sets the tone for the meeting. It gives structure to the meeting in a really positive way. People can then anticipate, know what to expect. And I really like the my gifts, talents, and special interests, because that sets that positive tone about what we are here for. It's constructive. These meetings are always constructive. They're about reflection, but they're also about what you want to do next and who you are, and being proud of who you are in different ways. And that comes from all different perspectives and the meetings. The unique aspects of myself, I think, is really important too, because whoever you are, whoever you identify as, we all have things that we want other people to understand about us personally.
Right.
And that's always a constant reflection. And I know for me personally, at every meeting I've gone to, that has changed and adapted as I've gotten to know other people at those meetings, and I've gotten to know what other people are thinking about. I want to make sure, hey, look, this is what I'm thinking about as we continue to make these improvements within the group, within ourselves. I think.
Real quick, one of the things that is that when you look at all the different social demographics, whether you're talking about ethnicity, race, whatever, every single person believes that they're misunderstood about something, or their age. Teenagers think that us adults don't understand anything. It's like, actually, we were teenagers at one time. It was a long time ago, but we were teenagers. And so number three there, that's something that is a human struggle. It's not unique to autistics. It is a human struggle, as far as having these aspects that people misunderstand about. And so everybody needs to, to think about these misunderstandings and how to effectively explain who you are to other people, so that way you can, you can overcome these misunderstandings, through mutual self-awareness, so that way we can just get along better. So anyways, so go ahead and continue.
Yeah, it's a powerful part of it, and it's a really important part for this check-in. So thinking about how we can adapt and what we can do, making this a part of the Emerson community. So it is a community support club is how we're going to give it the title, because it's a little bit more inclusive and all-encompassing for what we're looking for. The idea would be that this is open to all members of the community. So we're in the Coronado Historic District, and I've had lots of students who have moved on to high school and who are now out of high school and working jobs, or at places like Seats for Autism, getting support in those different ways. And what we want to do is really try and bring in more members of the community that have, maybe they've started from Emerson, or maybe they've just joined Emerson later on. Maybe you're curious about these things, and maybe you just know Jason or some others, and you have this idea. This is a community club that we want to put it out for people. With that also being said, a big focus will be on parents, on siblings, on family members, and on students themselves who are at Emerson. So we have 4 different classrooms at Emerson that are specifically designed for students with diagnosed with autism and eligibility of autism. And within those classrooms, there's all the different communication levels like we talked about from the last meeting. So what we have to do then is we have to be flexible, and we have to be understanding of those different needs from the 4 different classrooms and from the community in general. So we would still do this check-in format as a way for us all to come together. But after that, just as Jason has talked about, maybe doing breakout meetings, and you've done breakout meetings in the past, Jason, when you've had larger groups, but we want to make sure we're using our resources at Emerson. So at Emerson, we do have a sensory room, we have a playground, We have our large media center with computers and things like that. And we know that maybe there are different families who have different needs, have different wants. Some families might want to be looking for resources, but maybe need somebody to help and sit with them. Some families might want to see interactions between their students and other students. It will give us a good opportunity. Quite often when you have your child, you just know about your child, and it's important to see a first grader and to know who your child is and see what levels and functioning that they're at. But then what does that look like as a seventh grader? And how do those students interact? And giving parents that opportunity to see those differences, I think, will be really important as focuses of flexibility and independence that we have at our school. Jason, did you want to comment on any of that?
Well, and the thing that I would like to, to focus on myself is that the identifying and development of their gifts. One of my duties is, at the school is there's a couple of students that I provide one-on-one support for, in their classrooms. And the thing is, okay, my entire job duties, requires me to work with these kids with in doing things that they struggle the most at. And so as a result, I don't get a chance to really see, what they do best. There's other students, in the room, because we also have the self-contained classroom. I spend most of the day in there, but I spend a couple hours, one with one student, another with another student, and when it comes right down to it, those two students I spend one-on-one with, I can tell you what all their struggles are, but I can't tell you what their strengths are, because the whole reason I'm with them is because they struggle in those particular classes. And so I really hope that that these two particular students would be able to participate, so that way I can spend some time with them and figure out what their gifts are, and what their strengths are, and be able to develop those strengths, which can only be done in a format that allows me that flexibility, which isn't given to me by my regular job duties. And so that's what I'm definitely looking most forward to doing. And I'm not sure how exactly it's going to manifest itself. I'm operating on a core philosophy, and how do I carry out that core philosophy in this new opportunity that I have. I'm not totally sure how it's going to work out, but I know I'm going to just go in there, see what's happening, and figure out what the flow is, and just go with the flow, just like a surfer. You catch the right wave, and you just surf that wave. But by the way, I'm not a surfer, so if I'm butchering the terminology, that's why. But that's still the same concept. Is you just find that the right wave, and you just ride that wave. And so that's what I'm looking forward to doing.
And I think that core value of finding those strengths and looking for those strengths, but then also it is developing understanding, and developing understanding can look so many different ways. It's developing understanding about us as individuals, but then as groups of people, and then now we get to see it as we're developing understanding of the group and what we can better do to support the community that we're wanting to support.
Okay, and so as far as going back to the to the other possible things at the clubhouse, once we get it started. Okay, this is a rough draft of a possible schedule, which I basically threw together completely by myself, just to make a point that if we got the support in order to create this clubhouse, I can keep things going from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week. But nevertheless, that these basics, possible programs, they're definitely open for adjustments if people with specific programs, once are asking for them, or if somebody wants to provide specific programs, I can, adjust all this, accordingly. And so, you notice, breakfast socials, starting off with breakfast socials, where we can just talk and about various about our various needs, or yeah, just basically a social. Yeah. Okay. And so the next is special support services. Okay. And so I'm, so one of the things we could be doing is, 9 to 10, excuse me, 9 to 10, people, maybe they're doing job search, maybe they're, trying to make decisions about going into college or furthering their education. Maybe they need, support doing that. And so, so we can, that's, so we could have, okay, so one group of the meeting rooms, okay, maybe that they're the ones that are, they're helping people develop resumes. Maybe the next one is further education, and another thing is, special support services. Okay, is that, autistics have the same basic struggles as anybody else, and that would also include, addictions to, substance abuse issues. And so, coordinating with somebody from AA to an NA to possibly host meetings in one of these rooms. Okay, and with the understanding that we are at, an AA clubhouse, and that there would and that anybody that would go there would have to recognize, that that they need to be sensitive towards that fact. And it's so, and then also domestic violence. We have a number of members that have had some suffered abuse and trauma issues. Okay, maybe we can start, something like that in one of the rooms. And so that's, that's, basically, the idea for that is to just, what are the needs, and just be very open to, whatever self-improvements, needs and opportunities present themselves. Okay, and then the mutual support group meetings. Okay, that's what we do on Tuesday nights. And so, and so holding these meetings, holding more of these meetings. You'll notice we would have them in the late morning, and then in the evening time again, so that way, make it more convenient for people who have jobs or other commitments. So that way, if they work in the daytime, then they can, go in the evening, or vice versa. And then personal advocacy meetings, again, that's okay. Oh yeah, personal advocacy meetings is where we would be talking about, training people to advocate for their specific needs. So needing to understand, who they are, and that's where the self-improvement packet, which we'll be talking about in the next video. Okay, and learning how to advocate for yourself, because right after COVID hit, the first meeting that we had to have online because everything got shut down, we had this young man come, and he he talked about how he was having trouble holding a job. And so I was asking him, what his his specific struggles were, and he said, I have Asperger's syndrome, I have social deficits, I can't read people. And I responded, well, I didn't ask you what the textbook says about autism, Asperger's, because I already know that. I asked you, what are your specific issues? Okay, so he explained that he worked at a grocery store in the meat department, and so his boss would give him a list of instructions, and step-by-step instructions of what he needed to do, and he would have trouble following that. Well, that has nothing to do with social skills. Okay, nothing. That is executive function. That's organization. Okay, that has nothing to do with why you can't get a girlfriend. Okay, it's so, so what happened, because he focused on the wrong issue. Okay, he was programmed like a robot to say, I have Asperger's syndrome, I have social deficits, I can't read people, without actually analyzing what's actually happening in that specific situation at that specific time. Okay. So at some point he did disclose that he had Asperger's, and one of his coworkers said, so you're an idiot savant. And he said, no, I'm not a savant. And so his boss says, oh, so you're just an idiot. Okay, that is what happens when you don't know how to actually advocate for yourself. You set yourself up, well, when you do self-disclose, for very negative experiences. Okay, and so this whole, that the entire model for how autistics are taught to self-disclose is extremely flawed. Not just because of that issue, but if you go to just about any autism support group, and you bring up the subject, okay, how do you self-disclose to an employer in order to save your job? Okay, everybody, just about everybody in the room is going to go into a panic attack and tell you, oh, self-disclosing is, causes all these problems, and it gets completely hijacked. You can't even talk about, okay, how do you actually successfully self-disclose, because people's experiences are just so negative. The status quo way of teaching autistic self-disclosure has had such disastrous consequences that the vast majority of the autistics that I know will tell you that you shouldn't self-disclose unless you have absolutely no choice, but then they don't tell you how to successfully do it. They just warn you of the disastrous consequences that can happen if you do self-disclose. Okay, and so that's why a lot of them, most autistics I know, won't self-disclose for fear that they're going to lose their job, and they wind up losing their job anyways because they didn't self-disclose in order for them and their boss to try to figure out a solution. Okay, so it's a vicious cycle, and so we need to teach autistics a more effective way of self-disclosing, so that way they will self-disclose when they need to, in order to get their needs met and not lose their jobs. So well, would you like to comment on that at all, Adam? Because I know that's one of the things that we do work on, is trying to get the students, to speak up, to talk about their needs, and advocate for themselves. Would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, I think when we talk about self-advocacy, I think so much of it does stem from confidence. And I think a lot of people, like how you're describing this, the issues is because life has brought down their confidence. They've had a lot of experiences in life where the confidence, and this goes for anybody. I mean, this could even go for, I've had things that have happened to me where I've set myself up for a bad situation because I didn't feel confident in that situation. And self-advocacy is giving people tools so that they can feel confident about themselves and have an understanding about themselves so that others around them can have that understanding as well. And it takes time and it takes focus, because you have to practice it outside of it, because when you meet it, the real challenges of it, you need to be prepared for it. So I think a personal self-advocacy meeting is really important.
Okay, okay, thank you. And so then Fridays, personal self-improvements, that would be, again, what we'll get into that in the next video as far as the self-improvement program that I have developed. Okay, and then you see more special support services. Again, that could take all kinds of different avenues, and then after school lunch and tutoring program. Okay, a lot of individuals do have the need for tutoring, and just an after-school program in general, a positive after-school program. And so this time block would be geared more towards the children and the needs of the children. And so then going on to okay, Friday evenings and then Saturdays, special recreation events, and the sky's the limit on what those might be. Maybe we'll have gaming nights. These kids talked about, oh, I'm really great at this game, I'm really great at that game, I can beat anybody. And maybe we can have a gaming contest where they can play each other one-on-one in games, or old-fashioned games like we used to play when we were their age, board games, or karaoke, special readings. We have a lot of people that are writers. We have artists, give them a chance to display their artwork, all kinds of different things. So it's really sky's the limit as far as what these special recreational events might manifest as. And so then again on Sunday, so cross-cultural outreach. I made mention before on a number of my videos that prior to me getting diagnosed with autism, I was a volunteer English teacher, at a church for refugees and other immigrants, and I had a lot of success that at that, as far as social interaction, because the great thing about people that come here from other countries is they don't know you're different. Okay, they don't understand American culture, and so that they see our atypical behavior and that they don't think nothing of it. And by the time they do figure out that there's something different about me, that they don't care, because they're so grateful for the assistance that I provided for them, that yeah, they don't care, And so as far as having social interaction with a group of people, they're just going to appreciate you for who you are. Cross-cultural outreach, it has really worked well for me. And so one of the things I was thinking about is maybe starting an English class where autistics teach these refugees English, okay, or maybe other stuff, and so that's basically the idea behind that, and so and I absolutely encourage autistics to engage in cross-cultural activities for those reasons, and so and I haven't had a lot of takers on that at this point, but that's my entire mindset, behind that, is the fact that yes, that they don't know what an American is supposed to act like, so so our atypical mannerisms don't matter to them, and so anyways, so Adam, would you like to elaborate on anything?
Well, I know that piece came up at our last meeting, and for me, it wasn't something that I had focused that much on, so it was really enlightening to kind of hear different perspectives on it, of language learning and acquisition and all those things, and what that would be for somebody. You're speaking more slowly, you're speaking a little bit more simpler sentences, more to the point. I thought it was really neat. I think that's a great, that would be a great avenue to go into.
Yeah, well, and also one of the things that I have a tendency to do is my brain will sometimes think of like 3 or 4 different ways of explaining things, and if you notice when I'm taking too long talking, what I'm doing is I'm answering the same question 3 or 4 different times, because my brain can't make up my mind which way to answer that. Well, when it comes to working with teaching English to people who don't understand it, sometimes you need to be able to explain things 3 or 4 different ways before it sinks in. So what's an absolute annoyance to neurotypical Americans is a great tool for teaching English to people that that don't understand it. And so one of the things that on the self-advocacy packet is that is I ask the question, what attribute of yourself is an asset in certain situations and a liability in others? And so that's one of the times where this attribute of mine that annoys the neurotypical Americans is such a valuable tool when working with a segment of society that can actually use somebody that has that innate ability to explain the same thing multiple different ways. So
Yep.
So what other ideas, just talking about, creating a clubhouse that would meet the various needs of the autism community. Can you think of other, specific, programs and activities that could be done,
I know for me, just focusing, I can speak to my focus moving forward in my classroom and where I see a huge deficit, because just as you said, look, I have to spend all of this time doing these other things where the kids aren't necessarily able to shine, right? Like if reading is hard, well, you got to spend more time on reading to be able to get it, but that's a struggle. You don't get to spend the other time on the strengths. And I see that as a huge, huge deficit in education. And I think that we're setting our kids up for a lot of failure in a lot of ways based off of the typical curriculum of reading, writing, and math. And I would like to start focusing more on vocational things within the education system, bringing in experts from different areas, people who have had jobs, whether it's even, say, a locksmith or an engineer or somebody. There's so many different types of jobs that are out there that we need, that we will always need. And kids aren't being exposed to it. And I think kids need to be more exposed to the vocational side of life earlier on, because that's going to set them up for success. So even as you're talking about, when you are working a job, you get this set of what you need to do. That could be taught through reading. That could be taught through sequencing and main idea and details and all those things. We can do it vocationally if we can put those kids into situations that would be beneficial for them. Also opening up to what are their strengths. They are really good with working with their hands. Let's do more things where we're working with our hands. You're an amazing artist. What can we do to get you those animating skills when you're 10 years old, rather than waiting till you're in college and developing animation skills when you're 18? I think that there's a huge opportunity for that. And I think a big piece could be a section of time there too, where it is vocational, but it is also community outreach in the way of, what are you an expert in already? What do you have experience in? And who would like to kind of volunteer your time to come in and help explain those to people and say, and unlock those things of, oh, actually, my ability to make a Rubik's Cube, my ability to think in puzzles really relates to this job and moving forward with this job. And then it's opening up pathways, opening up doorways that then those people that are working those jobs in the community say, whoa, I met this amazing kid who's already doing this amazing person who's already thinking light years ahead of what I was doing at that time. And I think that when we develop more of those understandings and vocational skills, I think that could be a really neat bridge as well.
Yeah, and so my own personal experience, my senior year of high school, I had this desire to go build orphanages over in the Philippines. Okay, and so I enrolled at Phoenix Job Corps, which is a government-funded vocational training program. There's a number of them throughout the country. Just go ahead and you can do a Google search on it. They're still around. It's specifically for people ages 16, and they may have upped the top age to 24, and who are in low income. Okay, and so it's a free training. It's not only it's a free training program, but you actually get paid to go to school. Okay, and it's a small amount, but you literally get paid to go to school. And so so what I did was I went there for carpentry. Well, here's the thing. What I didn't know at the time is that my motor skills were just too slow for industry standards. Yes, I can get the job done and be done right eventually. That doesn't cut it in the construction world. Construction is a production-based company, industry. Okay, and so there is an amount of production that they assume that anybody who puts minimal effort into doing it can get done, and I cannot meet that expectation. Okay, I cannot meet it in fast foods. Any kind of production based company that requires you to be fast with your hands, I've tried multiple different industries. Okay, I am way too slow for the minimal standards. Okay, and the thing is, looking back at it, this deficit could have been identified all the way back in 3rd grade when we were doing times tables. And and that was back in the old days when they gave you a piece of paper and you wrote out the answers. It wasn't multiple choice. You actually had to write out the answers. And so it was a time test. I think it's like 2 minutes, something like that. Answer as many questions you could. Okay, I could only get about half the questions done. What I got done was almost 1% accurate. Okay, and so it was effortless for me to actually think about what the answer is, but my hand was just too slow in writing down the answers. Okay, and so as a result, I scored less than 50% on every one of those tests. Okay, moving on to 7th grade. Social studies. This is back in the old days when they had chalkboards. Okay, and so we had 2 chalkboards. The teacher would write a bunch of stuff down on one side, and we would write it down on paper, and he'd write a bunch of stuff on the second chalkboard, and we'd all write it down. And so then he would come back to the first chalkboard. Is everybody done writing this down? No. Day after day, every single time. No. Until one day I did that, and I swear every single one of my classmates in sync went like I was undermining their education. So I never took notes again. That was the last time I ever attempted to take notes because I was just too slow. 8th grade typing class, slowest typist in class. Okay. When I got to Job Corps, okay, one of the things that they had was this nailing booth so you can practice hammering in nails. Okay, okay, a 16-penny nail is about 3.5 inches long. By professional standards, after you set the nail, you should be able to sink that nail in 4 to 6 strikes. One of the instructors stood behind me and counted me taking 24 strikes in order to sink that nail because I was doing tap, tap, tap. Because if I took a full swing, okay, my hand-eye coordination, I would bend that nail into a pretzel and it'd go flying across the room. Okay, that's the reason why I would go tap, tap, tap. And so here, the evidence that production-based career path is absolutely the wrong career path was well documented all the way back to 3rd grade. And if the significance of that would have been recognized, okay, we could have been asking, okay, what alternative, what is a better career path for me, which would have been going and becoming a special ed teacher. And I actually thought about doing that. And the reason why I didn't is because I looked into, to the schools, and they required a minimum GPA, high school GPA of 2.5. Mine was 1.9. And so I just assumed that door was closed to me. I find out 20 years later, 30 years later, however long it was, afterwards, that I could have gone to a community college, taken my 2 best classes, which would have been history and something else, aced them, and to establish a new GPA. And that's the other thing about social studies. Okay, that was my best subject. Social studies, history, whatever you want to call it, that was my #1 subject. So I struggled in class with my best subject because I couldn't write fast enough. So
Yeah, I think and that is exactly, I like that example of it being so well documented in such a way. It just right now, to my knowledge, it doesn't exist. There's not a thing that exists where you're looking for the strengths of kids in the educate, like within the elementary education system,
Hmm.
because we are focused on what you can't do. We're not focused on what you can do. And so, looking back at that time, you said that history is your strengths. Maybe special education would be what you would get into. But can you think of what else maybe were your strengths that you can identify from that time where that could have led you into another pathway, into another job, had it been open for you?
Well, it's basically being a teacher of some type. Okay, I am a natural teacher. I love to absorb, all the knowledge that I'm capable of comprehending, analyzing that knowledge, and then disseminating that knowledge to anybody who wants to listen. And so yeah, I am a teacher by nature. Whether or not I'm a teacher by profession, that's another matter altogether. But whatever my profession is, I am first and foremost a teacher, and that is the path I should have taken right out of high school. So,
Yeah, I think I would like to experience that more. I think that within those meetings that you've allotted, I think that there's a lot of opportunity for so many different things, and I think that that would be a neat one to kind of experience for a lot of people is being able to reflect on what you are good at. I would say something for me, looking back at things when I was younger, I'm much more of a facilitator for others, so I can see what
mhm,
people are good at, and they might not be able to follow through with it, and I might be that person who can help them to follow through with it. And I think that
mhm,
that's what gets my skills as a teacher is I can recognize things within other people and I can try and facilitate ways to get them to the levels that they want to go to. So I might not be as good at remembering facts with history, and maybe a history teacher isn't for me, but I think that that's how I've gotten to becoming a special education teacher is because
mhm.
I can facilitate and help people from where they're at to get to where they want to be in a different way, or giving them that confidence, giving them that boost, whatever it might be. And I think that those have been my strengths in education. Um, but these are also things that I don't sit down and we don't sit down and talk about. Within special education, within teaching in general, we might do our learning styles, which like the visual, linguistic, we might do that. We might do our personality traits, where it's like, are you a driver? Are you analytical? Are you logical? Like you can identify things like that, but that still doesn't get to the point of identifying the strengths. And I would like to find some sort of a system, and
Yeah,
maybe it's not even a system, and maybe it is just a person by person basis, and that's how it has to be done.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Just create a flexible venue where people can just demonstrate who they are and what they do best. Yeah, this idea that everything can be figured out through some kind of a survey or scientific
right,
study. It drives me nuts, because the fact is, that especially those tests can be rigged. Okay, when it comes right down to it. Back when my junior year of high school, I was adopted. My adopted parents divorced, and so basically, my dad was wanting to strip me the right of choosing which parent I wanted to live with, because I wanted to live with my mom. Okay, and so he tried to show that I was, that I didn't have the maturity necessary, to make that decision. That's actually, a rap that I had for years, is that an immature personality. And so he didn't just pull that out of the air. That was something that was established about me. And so I was taken to the psychologist, who gave me one of these tests, and he told me, okay, that this is there is no right answers. Okay, this is not a pass or fail test. There is no right answers. And first thing I'm thinking, like, okay, if I want to make a decision as far as which parents I want to go with, yes, there are right answers to this test. Okay, and so as he would read me the questions, and and so So I would analyze how he would respond, to me, giving, multiple choice questions, because easy to score, that easier the test is to score, the more worthless the test is, in my opinion. Okay, so it's an easy to score test, and so I would visualize his reaction. And it's like, okay, if I say A, he's going to lock me up in a mental institution. Okay, what he wants to hear is me to say C. Okay, because C, it's so I went through, and I that's how I answered the question. And so his results was that I was more normal than normal. Okay, and I just kept my mouth shut. And so that's the funny thing, is that so yes, I'm normal. Okay, according to that psychologist, I am normal. I am more normal than normal, because he deduced that by giving me this easy to score test, in order to determine that I was normal and don't need to be locked up in a padded room. So anyway, so yeah, that's what I think about all those tests. The easier they are to score, the more worthless they are, in my opinion. And so yeah, so just, and especially with autistics, because we do have these deficits that can pop up in the vocational field. Okay, a lot of kids don't actually start, seriously asking the question, what do I want, to be, until they get into their high school years. They might throw around, some answers, like in kindergarten, what do you want to be? I want to be a fireman. I want to be a dancer, ballerina, whatever. But as far as when it comes to autistics, we need to start seriously asking that question as soon as possible. Okay, we need to start, exploring these questions long before, the neurotypicals who don't have these specific struggles that can undermine, that their vocational ability. Just like for me, we could have started this conversation in third grade, when it's very clear that I couldn't keep up with my class, on those multiplication tests. Then in seventh grade, when I couldn't keep up taking notes. Eighth grade, slowest typer. At some point in time, there were very clear dots to be connected, and so when we start asking about, okay, what am I going to do after high school, these dots should have been looked at. We should have realized the significance of all these dots, and so that way we could have a serious discussion about, okay, what path should I not take? That's as important as anything, is which path should I not take? And so.
Well, and I think that twofold, that when you think about elementary age students and what job would you want, I mean, they really only know so many jobs. They know a police officer, yeah. They know a teacher. There's such a small group for them to even choose from at that point in time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I think that is also what happens for people who are given a label at a young age, or said, you are this, then the window almost shrinks of what you're able to do.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a real big problem that we need to address as well, is saying, hey, look, like, you can't be a part of these other things, so therefore these things shouldn't be a part for you. Well, what are the things that are open for me then? And we need to make sure that we're opening up the possibilities, yeah, rather than closing those possibilities.
Right. It's so the question of, so we need to leap immediately from the question, okay, so you can't do this, so what can we do, and redirect the question, so that way we're not dwelling on, okay, you can't do this, okay, well, what can you do? And so, and again, it gets back to, okay, strength-based education, developing the strengths they naturally have. Yes, we do need to work on reading, because I was told, that it's, that's all I would need is an 8th grade reading level, and things would be fine. But it is a hindrance for me as a 52-year-old adult, to be, to not have as good a reading and writing skills, and so yeah, so it is good, to work on reading. It is good to work on math, in order to improve them. But at the same time, reading and math isn't, well, reading, yeah, and well, actually, the funny thing is reading, writing has become an essential thing, but only because there's word processors. Without a word processor, I could not write anything. Okay, it's that simple. Without word processors, with spell checkers and grammar checkers, I could not write anything. And so, but yeah, so so that's an important point that you bring up, is that when these struggles are identified, that we don't that it's not that it's not a roadblock. It's not viewed as roadblock. It's viewed as, okay, well, what is the what are the alternatives? Okay, and and so and what can we do to help develop in that in these areas as much as we can, but not get so obsessed with them. So yeah, it's a delicate juggling act, and so none of these answers have easy solutions. That they require a lot of thought, a lot of dialogue, with a lot of people coming together with the child's best interest in mind to try to figure these things out, and so yeah.
And I think that circles back to kind of the purpose of this video too, and the community support club that we're talking about. I think that gives a better understanding too of what we're looking for, what you're looking for when you're talking to parents, when you're there and the kids are there in their environments that they're comfortable with and they're safe within. But then we can have that dialogue of, what do you see at home? What are some things that maybe we don't see at school that, wow, we were really impressed with, some of the strengths? And maybe that conversation together can start opening up ideas. And then we can try different things and we can invite different people, or also talking with different parents who come from different backgrounds and different work. Maybe they know somebody who knows somebody, and that's all part of making these other connections that we need to make for the future, exactly what we're talking about that we're building on. So I'm really excited for the community support club. I'm really hoping that we can get a lot of buy-in from a lot of different groups of people, and the more diverse we have, the more the opportunities we can bring to it. So
right, and so yeah, and something that I forgot to bring up earlier is that that there are other autistics who are professional teachers, therapists, stuff like that. They could also come in, and participate, in this, so that way, we can get more viewpoints, more options as far as how we might handle the specific challenges of the specific individuals. And then the other thing that I meant to bring up too, we asked me, what other vocations could I have pursued? What else am I really good at? One of the things when I talked about how my brain's how I see my brain as being different from the people around me, that's the first question in my advocacy packet, is that hey, when people try to problem solve, okay, let's say they're trying to invent the wheel, okay, they put their brain to it and they try to figure it out. Well, what I do is I'm more dependent upon my ability to remember things that I've seen in the past, okay, and so I'm going to remember that I've seen 6 or 8 people attempt to invent the wheel. I'm going to analyze what worked and what didn't, and then I'm going to help you create a hybrid wheel that is perfect for your situation. So I really believe that I would be really good on planning committees of any kind, where at first initially I would be an observer, listening to to different people give all kinds of different ideas, and in time we'll see the results of those ideas, and those results will stick in my brain, and so later on, okay, let's do this project, okay, and so I'm now going to have a basis for saying, for not only things that we can do, but also if they're wanting to do something that maybe wasn't successful in certain projects, okay, it's like, okay, well, okay, basically, we can discuss what it is, as far as why it may not have worked, other projects. So how we might do it a little bit differently, and also, it's like, okay, if we're going to do a picnic, okay, what happens if it rains? Okay, what's plan B? And so this is how my mind works. And so it'd be a good idea to have one of us on a planning committee. If you have two of us, you may never get anything done. But having one of us on a planning committee could be a tremendous asset, but only one of us.
But also just hearing that too, if you were given that as your strengths when you were younger, in my mind, I'm like, okay, those are skills that are needed at like fish hatcheries. We're planning these different things for these long-term, or even like growing, working at farming. There's all of these things that need planning. And if you had that like confidence from a young age that this is a skill I'm really good at, and you could have tried it in different avenues, maybe not political avenues, but that's another one, right? You could be on political committees and political campaigns, planning things ahead of time. And there's so many things that could have been opened if you had known at that early age, look, these are my strengths. This is what I need to be looking towards, rather than the, like you said, the production line aspect that's kind of more of where people are pushed into working with them.
Right. Yeah, especially if you only have a high school diploma. Okay, if you have nothing but a high school diploma, you're going to be pushed into production-based jobs. I mean, that's almost a guarantee. And so by not going to college, I basically, to a large extent, damned my own future, but by not going, to college and pursuing that route. So basically I'm trying to now make the choices I should have made, back then, without amassing a bunch of college debt that'll never pay off, in the short amount of time that I would have to pay it off, so that's why I'm amassing minor certifications, okay, like peer support and paraprofessional, and maybe some other other certifications that that gives me more credibility, gives me the ability to work professionally with autistics, and but as far as going back to college and getting a teaching certificate, that's a lot of school debt, and so I just don't see that that's a good move at my age. So
well, your perspective is definitely appreciated, and I already see some great changes happening in education just in the role that you're at. So appreciate you.
So okay, well, I think I've said everything that I have to say. So this is a short video by my standards. Normally 90-minute videos is quite common, but we're wrapping this up in about an hour or so. So anyways, but do you have anything else you want to chime in about before we call it the day?
No, just reach out. I think your meetings on Tuesdays be awesome to have more participation in. Our meetings on Wednesdays, I'm hoping to get some good participation in. So hopefully we can keep that dialogue all going with all those events.
Okay, thank you. And so until next time, I bid you all farewell.